got the job 2 weeks ago. It's a homecoming for him. And, I'm super psyched to have Rick Tocchet as the Flyers head coach. First time he joins us since getting the job, and what a job it is. Rick Tocchet with us here on WIP. Good morning, Rick.
How are you guys? I don't mind talking Eagles.
Let's do it. Rick, what'd you make of that Super Bowl? Well, how about that?
I mean, it was a beatdown. All year, just from afar watching the Eagles, just the way they progressed. It was just like a slow, a juggernaut. And just obviously dismantling the Chiefs, obviously with Mahomes. Obviously, an incredible quarterback. It was. I didn't think it was to be that big of a blowout, but it was incredible to watch.
It was something to behold. It really was. Rick, the Philadelphia thing. Talking right there about the Eagles and watching the Super Bowl a couple months ago. Has that Philadelphia thing stayed with you? This whole time, really, since the early '80s, mid '80s.
Yeah, listen, I've been gone quite a bit. Other organizations learned a lot, as a player and a coach when you're away from this area. But coming back, it's just so easy coming back, right? And it brings back memories back in the day playing for the Flyers, and being friends with guys like Barkley and Schmidt and these guys, icons in the city, and the way the fans gravitate towards their sports team. There's not many cities like Philadelphia. We got a lot of work to do. I think we know that we're on the back page right now, and we got to start getting people to believe in the Flyers again. And I just want to be a part of it and a solution. And we got a lot of work, but I'm really excited about being back in the area.
Good. Well, Rick, a lot of people are very excited to have you here. So, of course, congratulations. What have the first 2 weeks been like for you? You can't coach a game yet, but you're in there, you're getting stuff done, you're talking to dudes. What's the first couple weeks been like for you?
Well, obviously the game plan Jonesy and Danny got, Dan Hilferty really sold me on their game plan. They got a ton of picks this draft, next year's draft, a lot of cap space next year, the year after. So there's some tools to work with. Obviously, the players here. I like the winger pool a lot. I know that there's some big defense I like there. Obviously, Sanheim is really, really progressive. I had him in 4 Nations. When I was assistant coach for Canada. Really impressed the way he played in that with those type of players in Konechny. You're talking about the star players representing the crest, Flyers crest. So there's some tools here, and like I said, not a lot of people believe in this team for next year, obviously, because they think the roster isn't that good. I disagree. I think there's a hard-working team, and we're excited about progressing here.
Yeah, you mentioned maybe a lot of people currently don't believe in the team, but you know what it's like in this city when the Flyers are on the front page and not the back page, as you put it. You went to those Stanley Cups. You were with winning Flyers teams. I think the thing all Flyers fans feel is how far away do you think this team or how far away is the team from getting back to what we all love, which is that Flyers hockey and back to winning?
Yeah, I think, first of all, my job is to create an identity. Who are the Flyers? How do we play? Obviously, with tough place to play when you come play us in our building, things like that back in the day the Flyers were always known for. And obviously develop players. I'm putting a staff together as we speak, assistant coaches, where the players come into the rink and I know it's the most, I hate using the word, I got to think of another word, but it's a process that we have to, I know I hate it. As a coach, I've been actually trying to think of a new word other than process, but where players come in and they know that with the facility we have, with the knowledge we have, and with their buy-in, they can have a better sense of maximizing their talent, and then obviously becoming a team. And that's my job, and that's what I'm going to be judged on. So I welcome that kind of challenge. So to answer your question, I don't know. We could be good this year. I don't know. I just think that the identity, where we're going, every day we got to work towards that.
So, Rick, here, and Rick Tocchet with us on WIP. Here's something you may or may not know as a sports fan over the last couple of years. So Nick Sirianni in year 1 didn't use the word process, or at least not in a way I remember, but he used a flower analogy. And City didn't like that. Team wasn't playing very well at that moment, and he was talking about blooming. Essentially it takes time to bloom.
Sure. Sure.
And then he switched to year 2 to a mountain analogy because he realized, all right, flower doesn't work in Philly, so let's scale a mountain. So anyway, I'm just saying, maybe you can figure out an analogy that works of some sort. Rick, how good do you think Michkov can become? I mean, when he joined the big club last year, it was probably the most exciting prospect to join the big club, probably since Lindros. How good can he become?
Yeah, there's a lot of talent there. Talking to Jonesy and Danny, I don't know the kid that well. I will get to know him. He loves the way Kucherov. He wants to be. That's his kind of his hero, Kucherov. If he can somehow, and the way he handles the puck, the way he can see the game. He can see the game before anybody sees the play, which is Kucherov-ish. Like that's a pretty good goal to have, because I think Kucherov's one of the. It could be. He is a top 3 player. I don't want to put pressure on the kid, but if he can somehow, and you got to remember, Kucherov I think had like 30 points his first year, and Michkov here, what do you have, 60-something points his first year. So, like I said, I don't want to put pressure on him, but that's a goal. The way Kucherov plays, I think I see a little bit there with the skills, the puck skills, and his hockey brain, offensive hockey brain. So I see that kind of comparison.
We know you so well as a player, and obviously you've coached in the NHL, but not here in Philadelphia. As a coach, when you try to build the Flyers, right, do you look around the league? I mean, you look at Florida, they've been to 3 straight Stanley Cups. Yeah. They're back in it this year. As you try to build the Flyers, do you build them in, okay, this is how I want them to play, or do you look at teams around the league and say, this is who we need to beat, and here's how we beat them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in hockey, even other, I love the other sports, but hockey is a little bit of a copycat league. So if you look at the Florida Panthers, they've gone to the final. They'll be the 3rd time they've gone to the finals. Obviously, so teams are looking, what are they doing? And if you look at their team, tough team to play against, they made a bold trade to get Tkachuk, was a huge trade for them. Mm-hmm. They hit on, I mean, the Bill Zito, their GM hit on about 3 unreal trades, getting Bennett and Reinhart for basically not a lot. They've hit a couple of free agents, and they had some really good, obviously Barkov draft picks, Lundell, they're big draft picks for them. I do like the way they play. I like the way that they don't care who they play the same way, and I think that's the important part is creating that identity. So a tough team to play against, relentless pressure, and when they're on their game, their defense. And I'm big with that. I think you got to be a smoldering defense, play without the puck, protect the goalie, and then obviously when there's chances to go, you go and create. I mean that's kind of my style. I mean the Florida Panthers type of style. It's like I said, they're successful. It's like I said, 3 years in a row at the finals.
Yeah, for sure. Hey Rick, let's talk about style of coaching. So you played, initially here for Mike Keenan. For those on the younger side, if you don't know, I mean Mike was driving a hard bargain. So someone that I know told me that he that knows you well said your style of play doesn't necessarily I perceived you as an incredibly tough player, and I've been told by a few people that you use the term partnership in your press conference, that it's not nearly the Mike Keenan style. How would you describe your style of being the leader, but also encouraging others without maybe pushing them to the nth degree to get it done?
Yeah, I believe in the partnership nowadays. I believe that you have to explain, educate players, tell them reasons why. Even the way, hey, we're going to practice at this time, and we're doing this, and we're traveling at this time, and the day off will be here. I think you have to explain and educate this generation. I think the players appreciate that. So that's one of the things I'm going to try to do. I like to communicate. I have a little bit of a head start over guys that haven't played. I'm not saying you can't be a great coach if you never played NHL, sure. But I've played every seat. I've been on the 4th line. I've been on the 1st line. I've played in some pressure games. I've also sat out games, healthy scratch nearly the end of my career. So I kind of know everybody's role. So talking to certain players, there's an experience that I've been in their shoes before. But I think the honesty and the communication with the player is huge, and I think that's something I've really paid attention to the last bunch of years. It's helped me be a better coach, and I think picking your staff, your assistants, sometimes you have to pick a guy that might be better at something than you. You can't be afraid as a head coach to get a guy. There might be an assistant coach out there that is better at me at something, and I welcome that. So. Those are the sort of things I think to be a good head coach, and you have to evolve every year. You can't be the same coach every year. You got to give players fresh ideas every year, and not be afraid to listen. And outside the box thinking, I think that's huge too. You can't always do the same thing. So you just try to evolve as a coach and with today's player.
One thing that strikes me listening is you really emphasized, working with people, the relationships. It's no secret that the Flyers certainly have a lot of former Flyers right now in major roles, right? What do you view? Because sometimes that can be viewed as a criticism, but what do you view as a positive of the fact that the people you're working with have been here? You know them, they know the city. Like, what are your early impressions of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be detractors. I mean, and anywhere you go, hiring an old Flyer against stuff. I understand that to a point, but the old Flyers were successful, and I'm not saying that automatically makes you know everything now. But I've been gone for 25 years or 20 years. I've been in other organizations. I've won a couple of cups with Pittsburgh as a player and assistant coach. So I've been other places, and so it's not like here's another old Flyer, and I'm proud to be an old Flyer. I'm proud to see Billy Barber and Bobby Clark around the rink yesterday and talking to them. I'm proud of those guys. They helped shape my career as a kid. I was 19 coming over the Walt Whitman Bridge, not knowing what Philadelphia, what kind of city was. I was scared to death, and this organization helped me become a man and really helped be a family with Mr. Snyder. And I see the same thing here, with Jonesy and Danny and Dan Hilferty and Brian Roberts. I mean, it's a family kind of atmosphere. I can tell. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to the challenge. I mean, listen, when I went to Vancouver my first year, as I said, we want to meet pressure with pressure. So there's pressure here, and we want to meet it. I mean, you can't hide from pressure. Go find it. Same thing on the ice. If the pressure's there, go find it. Don't hide. So that's what we got to do.
No question. Rick, final thing here. You referenced Ed Snyder. Have you reflected in the last couple of weeks of how proud he would be of you becoming the Flyers head coach?
Yeah, sure, of course. I mean, like I said, it shaped who I was. I mean, Mr. Snyder and the Flyers, and coming back here just for the 2-3 weeks. Talking to the Danny and Dan Hilferty and Joseph. I keep saying those guys because what they want to create here is something special, and it reminds me of back in the day. And obviously they want to do their own thing, but there is that family, atmosphere, and I think the players feed off that stuff. So, yeah, I think he'd be proud, and like I wish I was here to thank him for what he's done for me.
Yeah. Well, Rick, we wish you obviously the absolute best of luck. Town's behind you. I will say, obviously, the town has been incredibly frustrated, in recent years because it's been a long time.
Sure.
Been a long time. But people are, certainly very excited and hopeful for better days. And we wish you the absolute best of luck and look forward to talking to you from time to time. Good luck in the preparation for the season, and we'll talk to you when it gets closer. Thank you, Rick. Stay well and good luck, bud.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the support. Take care.
Thank you.
You got it. There he is, the head coach of the Flyers, Rick Tocchet. Good stuff right there. All right. So, look, I mean, he sounds dialed in, man.
Yeah.
Dialed in. Right, James? James, your impressions. What do you make?
I loved it. Like, again, we'll see what happens with the Flyers, but I think he has the right mentality. He sounded fire. Even when I answered the phone, like, off the air, I was like, hey, Rick, gonna have me in W. He's like, awesome, man. Really excited to go. Thanks for, he was pumped to even talk, Good. So I thought that was a really good interview.
One thing about the hire is it does get them more attention than if it was a nondescript guy. I mean, it's just, that's a fact. It creates more buzz. And I think they're wise to, generate that buzz. And ultimately, you want to find the right person. That matters most. Look, I love Tocchet as a player. I'm very hopeful for him as the coach here of the Flyers. I think we all know the main thing is not who the coach is. It's who the players are. I mean, it just is. Mm-hmm. They need better players, period. They need better players. So I'm on one hand, there's nowhere to go but up, but on the other hand, you can say for the last 10 years, there's been nowhere to go but up, and other than 2020, they stayed in the same spot for 10 years.
Yeah, what really struck me about him is, and I get to see Nick up close at the NovaCare, how he builds a culture. I was really impressed and I think encouraged by how he talked about the family part.
Sirianni or Tocchet?
Well, Tocchet right there, because it reminded me of Sirianni.
It reminded me of Sirianni.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing.
And I thought his answer about the former Flyers kind of building a family environment, like we can all hate the former Flyer thing. That's the best explanation I've ever heard of it. So we'll see if, I get it, the players, the coaching style, the X's and O's, all that. To me, he sounded like somebody that can build a winning environment with the Flyers. They have great players, but I was impressed.
One other thing that I thought was really good is when he said that, when you asked him a question about what type of coach he was, did you notice he said nowadays when he talked about it?
Yes.
That shows me someone who's willing to adapt and change and get with the times and what works now. I thought that was impressive.
So I'll bring it back to Sirianni, James, one more time on that point. To me, one of the things that impresses me the most about Sirianni is I think he's a blend of old school and new school. I think he's old school in that there's accountability. There is accountability. And toughness. I mean, like Devin White didn't get the job last year just because he was Devin White.
Which is ironic because he had a text thread called accountability.
No, and Bryce
all-time backfire there.
And Bryce Huff didn't get the job just because he was $50 million guy. Like he was on the team, but he wasn't playing. So accountability is a big part of Sirianni, but so too is the newfangled stuff, connectivity, all that stuff. And I would recommend a lot of coaches emulate what Sirianni does. I think he's blended it really well. Let's get your reaction to that. Obviously, the Phils winning 2 of 3 against the Braves. They lose the last one there yesterday.